You gotta walk that lonesome valley. You gotta walk it by yourself. Ain't nobody else gonna walk it for you. 'Cause you gotta walk it by yourself. Hey, Bernie here. Yeah, that'd be right. Just out here, do some of my best reflections and thinkings out here in the back porch late at night. You know what I was thinking about? Well, let me tell you. Darkness. It's a scary thing. You look out in the darkness, guess what? You don't see a thing. You don't know what's out there. I can take this candle, step out that way, but it only illuminates, it's a big word, illuminates a foot or two in front of me. There could be a bear. There could be a coyote looking my chickens over, trying to figure out which one it's going to have. Is it going to eat that black one or the brown one? It's going to use barbecue sauce or ketchup. It's got a big decision to make, doesn't it? Well, let me tell you now. Let me tell you. You've had times with darkness. You know, as a little kid, you like to use a nightlight because you're afraid of the dark. Have you ever had a situation where the power goes out and what's the first thing you do when the power goes out? That's right. You run for a light. You flip on the light switch, but there's no light. So you run to your let's see. Hold on, my cat just came over here, scaring me a little bit. You want to see Kitty? Hold on 1 second. That's what I'm saying. You don't really rightly know what's in the dark. And, well, this is Chinche. Say hi to Chinche. It's Spanish for bed bug. She wants to go back out in the night. But anyhow, what's the first thing you do What's the first thing you do when you run out of power? You go for the light. And, well, and you find that the flashlight ain't working. So you run for the matches and you stumble all over the place and things ain't working good because you don't have the light. So you got to have light or you'd be lost. You know, many periods of time, people had so much darkness, so much ignorance. Darkness has long been a symbol for evil, light for knowledge, goodness. By the way, a number of years ago, this man gave me some papers, local legends written down from this area. I'm going to read one. Since we're talking about darkness, this particular hobgoblin only came out in the darkest of nights. Let's see if the cat kind of knocked my paper over, but we'll get it going here, okay? This particular legend is called The Legend of the Headless Ghost of Locust Level. The Headless Ghost? Sounds like a good one to me. Let's see what we got. In the bosom of a peaceable settlement of Locust Level Schoolhouse District in southern Montgomery Township, Franklin County, PA, there's a public road that leads from Fairview, Maryland to Welsh Run, Pennsylvania. This road at the time was macadamized, but then at the time we speak of, just after the closing of the war between the states, or more properly known as the Civil War, this road was a dirt road, or still more exact, a mud road, very hard to travel, and especially in wet seasons that occurred at any time of the year, but especially in the winter and spring seasons. I'm going to skip through some of this here piece. This will be a long paper. a couple pages, long paper in my book anyhow. This territory had long been known as the level land of the Locust, and then the Locust level. A drowsy, dreamy influence seemed to hang over the land and to pervade its very atmosphere. The inhabitants to be weighted down heavily with some mighty and mysterious influence, some of which, that cat's coming to hear it, just a scratching on the, she's kind of riding on this little rocking chair. Anyhow, the inhabitants seemed to be weighed down heavily with some mighty and mysterious influence. Some of the more uncanny had even said and thought that the place was bewitched. A section of the county where hobgoblins existed galore, and many others contended that this country around was bewitched by an early German doctor, who once had practiced his profession, coupled with many other mysterious methods near this vicinity. The dominant spirit, however, that haunted this enchanted neighborhood in general, and the Locust Level Road in particular, seemed to be the commander-in-chief of all the powers of the air, was a figure on a white horse, without a head, and sometimes carrying his head under his arm. It was thought by many that this headless horseman might be the ghost of an early German doctor, whose head had been severed from his body by some mysterious influence. Likely this same mysterious influence had something to do with the apparition not always having his head with him, or sometimes carrying it under his arm. His favorite mode of operation, when on some of his ghostly night raids, was to patrol the Locust Level Road, riding at a furious rate of speed on a shiny white horse until he met another traveler, also traveling on horseback. Either way, or returning the other way, when all of a sudden, quite unexpectedly, he would pounce on the wayfarer's horse, alighting on the pommel or saddle of the horse. How long this high headless operator would remain perched on his newfound friend saddle pommel was obviously at the desire of the traveling headless horseman. My. Scary. Sometimes he would travel a good distance, and on other times only for a short distance, but always long enough to scare the daylights out of his fellow traveler. This headless horseback apparition was quite elusive and quite hard to figure out. He had done his stunts in the dark, and that was the only time he could be visible. The darker the night, the brighter his visibility, and the brighter he would shine in his white attire. By daylight he could not be seen. He had vanished when the cock crowed for daylight. He was something like the fox that crawled into his hole and pulled his hole in after him. In fact, he always made his patrols and exploits between sunset and daylight, and then only on very dark nights. See what I'm saying about darkness? That's when the bad people and evil comes out to play, in the darkness. The story's talking about it. Let's read on. It is said that he repaired his horse's hooves at Steck's blacksmith shop, which stood about 200 feet south of Locust Level Schoolhouse. Before the days of the blacksmith shop's existence, at a point in the neighborhood nearby, here he had done all his hoof repairing work, but always in an invisible manner. He could be heard, but not seen. The rasping of hooves, the clinching of horseshoe nails, the click of the hammer, the tapping and the driving of horseshoe nails could easily be heard by the astounded citizens of the community, and all done by an invisible operator. most everyone felt uncanny, unsafe, and unfearful meeting this headless white horseman when they were compelled to travel this Locust level road. For quite some time, this road was avoided almost altogether, especially at night. No one wanted or cared very much to contact this mysterious hobgoblin, ere he might be whisked off to some inferno and never to return the girl he left behind him. So this here story of this headless horseman, specifically Locust level, this happened sometime after the war between states, and really brings out some of that darkness factor, doesn't it? This guy, this headless horseman, he liked to ride in the darkest of nights, and then he appeared brighter on those nights, you know? Makes me wonder, why does darkness exist? Why does it have to exist at all? We could just have light all the time. It'd be eternal day. No, nothing to fear. Why does evil want us to fear? What about it? Why does it seek to harm us? Good questions, right? Yeah. One thing I'm certain of is that lightness, each of us are called to carry light. Be bearers of light. Kind of like torch bearers, right? We light someone. We pass the light on to someone, the truth, the way, and things get brighter in the world. And as we pass this light on to others, soon there should be so much light and truth that there would not be a patch of darkness dark enough for all the haunts, hobgoblins, and headless horsemen, and all of Locust level to be able to find a place to ride. Be so much light that all would be good, true, merciful, kindness, loving. You gotta walk that lonesome valley. You gotta walk it by yourself. Ain't nobody else gonna walk it for you. 'Cause you gotta walk it by yourself. Your ma gotta walk the lonesome valley. She gotta walk it by herself.